Hi guys, this is Tennessee from Face the Paints. Today what I thought I would talk about is kit care and care of your paints because a lot of people that may be new or that haven't been around face painters a lot, they might work on their own quite often, may not realise what you need to do to look after your paints really well. They are things like, so they don't get soft and soggy, and also so that they don't harbour bacteria and so forth. So for instance, if you've had a big day, your one stroke cake might come home looking like this. Alright, now if you're at the gig and you put the lid on and you go home and forget about it until the next gig, it's still going to look a bit cruddy like that when you open it. And it's also going to be soft and mushy most likely because the excess water that's in there has not been allowed to evaporate. So what it's actually then done is penetrated the rest of the cake, and thus you get a really soft one stroke. Or in this case, my cakes quite often come home. I might have been mixing some double dip flours here, or wanted a particular colour, so I might have picked a colour out of the cake to do it in an outline or something like that. So it can come home looking like that. If you were to turn up to a job like that the next day, people are going to look at that and think, oh my goodness, where have those cakes been? And once again, if you put that on your cake, it's going to get mushy if you don't allow time to dry. So I usually minimum leave my cakes out overnight so they can dry. But before I do that, when I get home after a gig, I just get a wet sponge, rinse it out, and I just wipe it over the top like this, okay? And instantly that cake looks better. On top of that though, you've got rid of all the excess water. So once you allow that to dry out, it's going to dry out quicker, but it's not going to have, that excess water there to make it mushy either. And likewise with your one stroke cake, you just need to wipe it over with your sponge, okay? And it's instantly going to look better. And if you turn up to a job, especially first thing in the morning, and all your cakes look like that, people are going to think, gee, you care about your kit and it looks wonderful and all those kinds of things. I mean, if you only paint once every 2 weeks and you haven't touched that kit since you got home from your last gig, it's just going to harbour bacteria. As I said, your paint's going to be soft and mushy, and you don't want that. The cakes are not cheap. Yes, you do get a lot of mileage out of them, but to just let them deteriorate in that fashion, it's not good, it's not professional. You're leaving yourself open for hygiene issues, for allergy issues for people and things like that. So please take good care of your kit. I usually wipe down the sides as well. At the moment I seem to have paint all over me. Now the other thing too, I just dropped my brush here. I usually run my brushes through my brush tub before I get home. Like when I'm leaving the gig, I run them all through the dirty water just to get the excess paint out, okay? So if you come home and once again you haven't cleaned your brushes, you had a gig 2 weeks ago and you haven't cleaned your brushes, they're still going to look like this when you get them out of your kit. Now there's a couple of problems with that. Not only is there a hygiene issue, which obviously there is, if you turn up to a job and your brushes look like this, people are going to go, oh. And please don't think it doesn't happen, because it does. I've actually done some classes and someone's brought the kit along. It's a communal kit, so there's half a dozen people using it. No one's taking responsibility for it. And you've got 10 brushes in a sealed plastic container like this. It's not good. It's not good for the brush in terms of if you have wooden handles, they're going to split and crack and all those kinds of things. The ferrule of your brushes is also going to split, so your brushes aren't going to last as long. And once again, it's not a professional look. You turn up to a job like that and you're trying to clean your brushes before you start. It's really not a good idea. But the number one all important thing is the hygiene side of things. So if you turn up with dirty equipment, it's not good. So basically my tip is, I know you're tired when you get home from a gig, drag your kit inside, get everything out that you've used, clean it, with brushes especially, wash them well with some soap, make sure you get all the soap out of it. I actually use soap that's it's a natural soap, it's got goat's milk and stuff in it. Yes, it's probably a little bit more expensive than most, but I think if, for some reason I may have not rinsed the brush out well enough, something like goat's milk soap or olive oil soap, most people are not going to particularly have a reaction to. So that's the way I look at it. So if you get it all out and air dry it all. So air dry your paint, air dry your brushes. Don't put them back in your kit until they are actually dry. Then put your kit away. I mean, yes, it might be hanging around the house for a day, but at least you know that they've been cleaned properly, and you're not going to cause allergic reactions in people for not doing the right thing, you know, to start with. But don't feel bad if these are things that you've done. Now it's just time to change what you're doing. You know, have a good look at how you look after your kit. I have actually been to jobs where people are frantically wiping their kit down with baby wipes because they didn't clean it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, it just doesn't look professional. So it's one thing, you know, if you've had 3 gigs in a day, of course your kit's not going to look pristine, especially by the time you get to the 3rd job. But people who know you're busy, if they know you've been running from one job to another, they're not going to expect that. But, you know, if it's the only job you've had that day, and you know, people will probably think, well, what are you doing with your kit, you know, and they probably won't hire you again. But there are just a couple of things, you know, and obviously if you have animals around the house, or even kids sometimes, you know, if they get into your stuff without supervision, you just need to make sure you put your things out of the way, because you don't want your kids putting stuff in your paints that they shouldn't be doing, and likewise you don't want your cat or your dog or whatever getting on your paints either, because people have allergies to cats and dogs and things like that. So you don't want to be causing any issues that you don't need to cause for people. So, and I'm sure there's other things like eating peanut butter around your kit and things like that. You just be aware. You can't guarantee no cross-contamination, because obviously you do paint other people, but as many precautions that you can take personally yourself is a good idea. So anyway, that's a few tips and a few things to think about. So I hope you've learned something, and maybe there's something that you know, can help you out in the future. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night.